Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Friday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Paul Dottino and Matt Citak with you. We're here for the next hour to talk Giants football as they prepare for their regular season finale. It's Sunday at MetLife Stadium, 1 o'clock game against the Dallas Cowboys. Our phone number is 201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. You can also find us on social media at #GiantsChat. And if you're not watching the show live, either on Giants.com or the YouTube site, you can always go to the Giants mobile app and catch the archive on podcast platforms everywhere and at Giants.com/podcasts. As usual, we come to you from the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. We had an opportunity to talk to Coach Kafka this morning, as well as the assistant coaches. And we truthfully do not know, as it stands now, about that injury list, the guys who are sick, the guys who were banged up. They're trying to do some load management here. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We do know that Abdul Carter is feeling better and was going to at least try doing some things today. How much? We still don't know the answer to that. But Kafka said he's hoping that the guys who were ill, and there were a few of those, including Dexter Lawrence, he's hoping that between the medications and the rest and the vitamins they're taking, he's hoping that they'll be able to go on Sunday, but we just don't know.
Yeah, other than Abdul Carter, Kafka said that the injury report, no changes from yesterday in terms of the other guys that did not participate on Wednesday and Thursday. So, look, an illness is the type of, injury where you don't necessarily need to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in order to suit up on Sunday. However, it's not great in general, to have a guy go out there after not practicing the entire week. I can't remember any situation this season where a guy did not practice at all and then suited up on Sunday, this season at least. Granted, obviously, at 3-13, with the season having been trending in this direction for a while now, kind of pointless to, kind of rush guys back or throw the guys out there if they haven't practiced at all. Maybe it would be different if the record was different. But because of that, I tend to lean, if I had to guess, that the guys that have been DNP all week, I'd be surprised if they suit up on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense based on what's the sense in pushing them, why do it?
Exactly.
But on the other hand, I do think there's a flip side to this coin. You've talked to the players in the locker room, and we've been around obviously all week. There are a lot of guys who understand that this is the last time they're going to play with these guys as teammates. This is the last time this team is going to be together. We talk about that every year. At the end of the season, there's going to be at least 20%, maybe as much as 35% of roster turnover. This locker room really, really likes each other a lot. I think there are some guys who might be banged up who are going to want to push it and want to try to play because they know it's the last time they'll be on the field with some of these guys.
Yes, I think for some of these guys, like looking at the injury list, but
not all of them, but some of them.
Not to, point particular guys out, but if you're, let's say, Cordell Flott or Wan'Dale Robinson, who are about to enter free agency, or at least go into the offseason, as a pending free agent, especially with Wan'Dale, having just reached 1,000 yards, I'm sure he would love to get 100 receptions as well. It's only been done, I believe, 3 times in Giants history. So to be the 4th, that would be some pretty special company.
He needs 9, right?
He needs 8 to get to 100.
Right, but to eclipse it.
To get over 100,
right.
Yeah, he needs 9. But, if I'm Wan'Dale or Cordell about to be a free agent, banged up, and those guys have actual injuries, not just illness.
Right.
Flott with the knee injury he's been dealing with, Wan'Dale with the rib injury. Those are the situations where, as much as I would love to see those guys out there, I would love for Wan'Dale to get 100. I would love for Cordell to finish the season strong. He's had somewhat of a breakout season, and if he can continue that against the Cowboys receivers and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, that's an amazing way to end the season. Mm-hmm. But At the same time, they're about to enter free agency and they have actual injuries. Assuming that they actually do get listed as DNP again today on the injury report, I'd be surprised if they're out there, as much as I'm sure they kind of wish if they were healthy that they could be. But, and then like Javon Holland as well. Like he had an actual injury that he left the game.
And
in
also
week
monitored
16.
for concussion too.
Yeah, and he's in concussion protocol. So I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to.
But the illness, I mean, Theo Johnson now, he missed all of practice last week with an illness, and he still hasn't practiced.
He's got to
with
be
an illness.
dehydrated. I got to believe after being sick
look,
for over a week.
We kind of see this every year around, the December last month of the season across every locker room in the NFL. I don't know how this always happens, but whether it's the flu or whatever, some sort of illness, one guy gets it and it just works its way around the whole locker room. I mean, that's why you see multiple guys listed as illness this week. It's been, been that way on the injury report, I think, for a couple of weeks now, guys listed as illness. So I tend to lean based on no actual, information on this other than just the injury report.
Right.
But I got to think that all the guys that are DNPs for 3 straight days are not going to suit up. But we'll see. Even if that does happen, that just means that other guys are going to get opportunities. And
sure.
It could be for a lot of guys or some guys, their first and only opportunity all season to really make somewhat of an impact, which I know one game, obviously small sample size, what's that going to really do? But for some of these guys, as you mentioned, they may not be here. The guys at the bottom of the roster, they may not be here next year. So this might be their one chance to really do something as a New York Giant.
Well, that's why I think each individual player is going to be taken on its own merit, because there are some guys who are contractually in a different situation than others, and that does have to be added into the equation. I get that. I think that there are probably at least a couple of guys, if not more than a couple of guys, though, on that list who probably want to play.
Oh, I'm sure they all want to some degree.
And whether or not they do remains to be seen. All right, what about the Cowboys now? Interesting thought here. Jerry Jones comes out and says Dak Prescott is going to start, but then was very vague about how that's going to wind up. So
they've always got to be in the media. He's always got to make some sort of headline.
That's Jerry.
You can't just say, yes,
that's Jerry for you. So it remains to be seen if the Giants will see him or not. Now, here's the interesting part about Prescott. As a rookie, the Giants beat the Cowboys twice, but since then he has won 14 consecutive starts against the Giants. I mean, talk about having a hex over an opponent. And here's the thing, too. He's done it every which way possible. He's done it by leading them on field goal drives at the end of a game. He's done it by leading them on scrambles that wound up beating the Giants. He's done it by throwing ridiculous pinpoint passes that his receivers made great throws on or catches on to beat the Giants. He has truly had a Houdini-type spell over Big Blue. So, to be honest, Jerry says he's starting. If he feels he wants to take him out, I'm not going to cry.
Yeah, I mean, based on his comments to the media, it does not sound like Dak is going to play all 4 quarters. He's definitely going to start, as you mentioned, as Jerry Jones mentioned. I will say, if I'm the Cowboys, and again, this is my personal opinion, but right now you're 7-8-1. For whatever reason, I know one game when you're out of the playoffs doesn't make a whole bunch of difference, but going into the offseason saying, at least we were in a down year where we dealt with injuries, at least we were 500 versus 7-9-1. I think that they're going to want to come out and obviously win this game. Like, it is a meaningless game for them, just like it is for the Giants, but I do think that they're going to have some motivation to come out and try to win this game. Not to mention, heading into the last game of the season, Dak Prescott leads the NFL in passing yards. And despite
Stafford's right on his heels.
He is right on his heels. He has a 34-yard lead over Stafford. And Stafford playing in that game Saturday night, he's going to play the whole entire game because that is for the number 1 seed in the NFC. But that also gives Dak the exact line he'll need. Like, he'll know exactly how many yards he will need against the Giants in order to finish the season as the NFL's leading passer. And the only reason I bring this up, obviously that is an impressive feat no matter what, but despite the talented quarterbacks the Cowboys have had throughout the years, according to NFL research, they have never had a quarterback lead the NFL in passing yards.
Right.
And that's Troy Aikman, Tony Romo. Like, it's never happened. So if Dak is, within reason, if it's not like, if Stafford goes out and throws for 500 yards, I don't think Dak is going to throw for 400 plus yards, because that would require most likely the entire game. But if he's sitting at, let's say 200 yards, I wouldn't be shocked if they try to get him that as quickly as possible and then pull him and let Joe Milton finish the game. I think that might be something that the Cowboys and Dak are within reason gunning for on Sunday.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because that is a prestigious thing to be able to say if you could do that. And after all, there really isn't a whole lot else at this moment for them to play for. All right, so in terms of some of the other names, we know that Trevon Diggs just got cut the other day.
Yes, he's now a member of the Packers.
And no surprise there, if you've read the stories over the last couple of days, a lot of stories coming out of Dallas is that maybe Trevon Diggs, for all the numbers and interceptions and turnovers that he had over the first couple of years of his career, he's also had some injuries, and maybe he wasn't the best teammate either, supposedly by some of the stories coming out.
Yeah, he's always been a big play guy. He either
no doubt
catch an interception and, potentially bring it back for a touchdown, or he would give up a touchdown or a huge play. He never was like a shutdown corner. So I'm a little surprised, just given how strong he started his Cowboys career and how positive feelings around him, at least in terms of Cowboy Nation, were. But he also has only played, I think it's like 18 games over the last 3 seasons, or 20 games total in the last 3 seasons. And as we know, if you're not available out there for your team each and every week, or at least most weeks, you're no good to your team. So at the end of the day, it's not too surprising given how the last couple of seasons have gone.
We know their defense has been near the basement, if not in the basement, for most of the season. So I won't even go over the fact that they still have some good players: Odigizua, Clark, Clowney, although at the end of his career, Clowney, but still he has been known to still make some plays. So they still have some guys who can do things on D, but on offense,
Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, no question.
Although he hasn't really done much after that first game with the Cowboys against the Raiders. Hasn't kind
quality
of gone quiet
player
since then.
But a quality player.
Yeah.
In any event, the big thing when you're looking at Dallas, though, obviously, is the fact that they've got Ferguson at tight end, they've got Lamb, they've got Pickens. And by the way, Pickens is in a contract year.
Yep.
I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that. I know that him and Lamb have become a devastating duo to most defenses in the league. I get that. Pickens is having another phenomenal season. He's a great talent. But he is in a contract year. And we know that Jerry's contract negotiations with his superstars don't always go well.
Murky at best.
Okay, so you follow my logic here.
Of course.
I'm sure Pickens probably wants to tack on as many numbers and stats as he can in this final game, going into the offseason, thinking he's going to get himself a huge payday.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how that's going to play with Jerry. And honestly, how might that play into his playing time, especially if Prescott isn't going to play the whole game?
Well, I had to say, you're right. Pickens probably wants, despite being in the contract here, he wants to add some stats to his final line. But at the same time, he's already got career best numbers across the board, and among league leaders in receptions, in receiving yards, touchdowns. He's already established this year that, at least with Dak as his quarterback, he is a top wide receiver. And him and CeeDee Lamb honestly might be the top wide receiver duo in the NFL right now. Does it last to next year? That has got to be the biggest question facing the Cowboys going into this offseason, along with how do they fix their defense. But yeah, I mean, I would guess that the Cowboys would kind of lump their star offensive players together. For as long as Dak's out there, CD and George Pickens will be out there.
I think so.
Is when Dak comes out, you're going to have those 2 star receivers trying to catch passes from Joe Milton?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No, because
that's where I would lean, at least. You never know with the Cowboys, but
no, you never know.
I would lean that way.
And Pickens is known to be very vocal, and he's not afraid to air his gripes either.
Correct.
So watch him on the sidelines, because if they do take him out, I don't think he's going to be very happy.
No.
Because he's a big of an ego-driven kind of player.
Yeah. The one thing on the injury report about the Cowboys that I think is worth just mentioning is that both Javonte Williams, their starting running back, and Malik Davis, their backup running back, Wednesday and Thursday were DNPs both days. So Javonte, I know, has been dealing with this neck shoulder injury for a couple of weeks now. I know he played through it last week. We'll see if he's a DNP again today. I'd be surprised if he's out there on Sunday, but you never know. Last week, despite the game not meaning much for anything for the Cowboys, it was Christmas Day, one of those standalone window games, and just knowing Jerry Jones, he probably wanted to win that game and put on a show for the national television audience.
No doubt.
Week 18, being clumped in that 1 o'clock window with a bunch of other games may not be exactly the same situation. I can't imagine that they try to push guys that are actually injured to play through injuries in this game. But again, you never know. Other than that, the only other players of note on the injury report of DNPs both days, guard TJ Bass and cornerback Siobhan Revel. Everyone else, at least as of yesterday, was either a limited or full participant in practice.
All right. So that brings us up to your phone calls at 201-939-4513. Joe in Connecticut, you are first on the program. Hello.
How you doing, guys?
What's going on, Joe?
Fantastic job.
Hey,
Fantastic job you guys do.
We appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
So I've been a fan for, I'm 72, so I go back to Tittle the Schaffner. And
You're 72, you said? Or 62?
Yeah, I'm 72.
Oh,
yeah.
you're 72.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've been watching since black and white TV, Tittle the Schaffner. The Giants come out on the field with Chris Schenkel.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness! And
watch
it on the black and white TV, and I talked to you before about that. How my father was blind, and I used to tell him how to. He got diabetes and he went blind, and I used to do the play-by-play. But I don't want to go on that. But I've been a Giant. I mean, I've seen it all, Paul. Just like you, I've seen the 70s. I've seen ups and downs of the Giants, and this year, if Malik doesn't go down and Scadaboo doesn't go down, every year I look forward to playoffs. We could have made the playoffs this year. We could have been 10-7. Coulda, but we should have. And a couple of bad games here and there, and I wanted to put that. Do you see that guy from Indiana yesterday? He's not Dart. Come on, he's not Jackson Dart.
Mendoza.
He can't run. Mendoza. I've been around the block a little bit. This guy, Jackson Dart, he's got it. He's our guy. Cut the noise out with these fans. Oh, we want the number one pick. Blah blah blah. Come on, And if he had some player, what I see is we got a good defense. We got to get a couple of players, get some coaching for the defense, get a good offensive coordinator. If it's not the head coach, that's the offensive guy, like McCarthy or whoever, Savansky, the guy from Cleveland Browns, somebody's talking about. But,
right.
I don't want to go with a new guy that hasn't been a head coach. That's my thing. I was always a Parcells guy, but, I just think that if he has a big target like Plaxico, everybody comes back next year, Scadaboo, Malik, and then maybe a big running back that can pound it in there, and the safeties are doing okay. I don't know. I played safety in high school and junior college and stuff, and I was a hitter and stuff. And then you see that game yesterday. I don't understand how the college quarterbacks, they were getting killed yesterday. They don't call anything. And then Jackson Dart comes in here playing the same way they do, and he's getting ridiculed. Come on, let the kid play his game. You can't take it. You can't take his game away. I know he's got to slide once in a while. He did that in the last game. He got out of bounds a few times and he slid a few times. But come on, you can't take the heart out of the kid. This kid's a leader. He's got heart. He's got guts, and I like him. I think if we get a couple of Johnson, I wish he could catch the ball once in a while. He's a big target, but we need a big target. Maybe that guy Tate from Ohio State. And, I think we'll be all right. I'm disappointed that, I'm not going to watch my Giants anymore after Sunday. I just, every year is another year. My nephew, he moved to Florida. He's like, because my second team is Jacksonville because Coughlin was there, and my daughter lives in Jacksonville. But my nephew says, "Uncle Joe, are we ever going to win?" I was like, "Oh my!" And as a matter of fact, it was funny. The last game I went with him, we went to the Packer game. We got free tickets. My daughter's teacher couldn't go to the game, gave us tickets. It was the game that Strahan got his sack against the Packers.
Brett Favre.
I think that's 2000.
Here's what you tell your son, though. Tell him that you remember asking your dad in the mid to late 60s and early 70s if the Giants were ever going to win again and if they were ever going to make the playoffs. And eventually it happened, right? And you got to see 5 Super Bowls now.
Yeah, it's a sad thing because my dad died in 1963.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The championship. I was 10 years old in the championship game, and he never got to see. And you know what? And my heart was taken out when he passed away. I had nobody to watch the games with. But I came back. 70s. I'll tell you, I have all the memorabilia. We used to go to the gas station and every time you filled up a gas tank, they give you a picture of a Giant. Andy Robustelli one week, somebody else next week.
I remember those prints. And then, of course, there was the other gas station that gave you the little stamps. I don't know if you remember 1972, the stamps and the book that you had to put them in. I remember it well, my man.
Yeah,
Joe, appreciate the phone call. Go ahead. One more point.
I'm getting older now. They got to win for me. Come on. I got you.
I got you. We'll put the order in upstairs, okay?
Well, thanks for listening to me.
Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, Joe.
Interestingly enough, and I think, and Joe brings up a point about the whole Mendoza thing. There is a small segment of the people who I've seen say, well, get Mendoza and try to trade Dart. I have seen a few people say that. Of course, that's ridiculous. But I think it's most of the people who wanted the number 1 pick were thinking trade.
Yeah, I was going to say, I completely understand the large section of our fan base, that wants us to end up with the top pick, which it's still possible. It's obviously less likely now than it was this time last week, but it is still possible. I understand wanting the first pick or even the second pick in order to use that as trade bait to move down to one of the teams that are quarterback needy. For Mendoza, Dante Moore from Oregon. There's a couple of quarterbacks that, every year we see quarterbacks rise to the top of the draft. It's not probably going to happen.
The mystery name's going to be at the combine because somebody's going to float up. You know that
for sure. So I understand. There is a large section of the fan base that wants us to end up with the top pick, and I fully get that, but only for that reason to trade.
Yeah.
For the small section that is actually trying to campaign to trade Jackson Dart, I just have you been watching all season? I understand it has not been perfect, far from it, but he has shown just so many different flashes and signs of a great NFL quarterback. He's got to put it together. He's got a lot of growth and a lot of development still to come that he still needs to do. But he has shown the most promise we've seen out of a rookie quarterback in how long? He's trailing Daniel Jones in terms of total touchdowns, but Daniel Jones in 2019, despite having some positive offensive statistics, was a turnover machine that year.
Oh, Dart far
led the league
Jones's rookie season.
I
agree
in turnovers. With you. Eli Manning as a rookie did not show nearly as much as Jackson Dart is showing this year.
It's the best rookie quarterback performance since Phil Simms in '79.
Yeah. So again, it is only a small section. I don't think most Giants fans actually want to trade Jackson Dart. I think most are on the same page as us. But to that very small segment, I truly do not understand it. We finally have a guy that I'm not going to go so far as to say he is the franchise quarterback, the guy for the next 15 years. Not going to go that far because, again, it's only been one season, not even a full season, but he has shown enough that gives me enough confidence to obviously want to go into 2026 with him as the guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to move on from him after 1 year in the season that he just produced. I mean, if you're going to come to me and say, you know, somehow you could do some sort of deal to like get, I'm just throwing a hypothetical, a Joe Burrow. Okay, that is something you got to listen to if that were to somehow come across your plate. But outside of that, to trade him just to draft another rookie quarterback, an unproven guy who as good of a season as Mendoza has had, I mean, some people say that he's somewhat of a product of just the Indiana team overall. They have the best coach in the country.
Mm-hmm.
The overall, probably now it's obviously looking like the best team in the country.
The best offensive line in the country.
The best offensive line in the country. Now, he's definitely played a big part in their success, but you can't tell me that it's not like he is the sole reason why Indiana is so good. So I truly don't understand that little segment of the fan base. I hope most fans agree with us and feel great about Jackson going into next year and being the leader of this team, because he's shown more than enough to deserve that honor.
We have a YouTube comment. Bryce Herlithi Herman, I believe is his name. Is that right, Johnny Mac? Is it three? Yeah. It's three names. Bryce Herlithi Herman tells us that he loves the Giants. Hello, Bryce, and we appreciate your fandom. You're telling us that you're 8 years old and you'd love to have a shout-out. Well, you got your shout-out.
Here's your shout-out. Thank you for watching.
Happy New Year. And I'm so glad that you joined us on the program. And he says his favorite New York Giant is either Jackson Dart or Cam Scatterboo, which means he can't decide between those two. Those are two good guys.
Two great options for your favorite player, let me tell you.
For sure. And hopefully you'll have some more favorite players as you continue to watch the Giants over the years.
Thank you for tuning in, Bryce.
There is B from New Jersey on line 2. You're next on BBKL. Hello.
Hello. I want to talk to you guys about the coaching.
Okay.
As far as coaching goes, the only two times in my memory is Bill Parcells and Tom Coughlin, and we got Super Bowls in that, where we had a long-term coaching time with those two guys. Since Tom Coughlin has left, the coaches haven't lasted more than 2 years. I mean, you know, the most Coach Daboll was about a third year, but it's been 2 and out. Now it's 3 and out. It's like we don't have consistent coaching for a long period of time. And then, you know, the owners, you know, Mara and Tish, keep turning over the coaches thinking that'll change the dynamics. It's like, history shows if you have a long-term coach that it gives them time to do stuff with the team and get the team where it should be and get us back to postseason and to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
When you have two and out, and with Daboll, it was 3 and out, and it's like...
Well, 3.5. But I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
Daboll did get a fourth season.
I think John Mara has been very clear, the team co-owner has been very clear that he really abhors the having to change coaches so quickly. That is not in the Giants' DNA. No. They don't like doing that. Now, by the way, just as a matter of fact, okay, Jim Fossil was here for a handful of years. Dan Reeves was also here for 4 years. So, you know, those guys were not turned over after 2 years. Just want to put that out there for factual reference. But in terms of your comment, yeah, I understand. The question becomes, though, if you don't truly believe in exactly what's happening, are you doing a disservice and an injustice to keep the guy in there just for continuity's sake because you don't want to make a change, knowing full well in your heart of hearts that you don't think the guy is doing the proper job and the circumstances are not right? Don't you owe it to your franchise, your players, your fan base? Don't you owe it to them to say, look, if I honestly don't believe this is working, I have to pull the plug, even if you don't want to?
Not only that, but, you know, I'm not going to count Daboll because obviously he just got let go in mid-season. You know, he's been on the down low since then. But the other 3 coaches that were 2 seasons and out, I don't think none of them are in the NFL still. It's not like they went on to
not as head coaches.
No. Well, Judge is at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Shermer was last at Colorado. Is he still at Colorado with Deion Sanders as the offensive coordinator?
I don't know where Shermer is, but McAdoo is in the league.
McAdoo, yes, I think
he's in New England.
I think but as like a position coach.
Yeah, he's assistant.
So it's not like any of those guys went on to be a head coach somewhere else and have like great coaching careers. So I agree with Paul here, where like I don't think it was the wrong decision to let any of those guys go when they were let go. Like it was all three of those situations, it was very clear that a change needed to be made. And so the change has been made. But no one in like ownership definitely does not like that. I mean, again, you mentioned Coach Coughlin, who was here for over a decade, to then have 4 coaches in the next decade, and we're about to have a 5th in the 11th year. Nobody wants that. The goal is to find the coach that can be here long term, especially now with Jackson, who hopefully will also be here long term. The hope is you get that coach that can be the coach QB combo that leads this team back to its glory days. B,
and I don't know how long you've been a fan, but let me just okay. So then you remember the days when they used to tell you a coach would come in, he'd have his press conference, and they would all talk about a 5-year plan. That's the way it used to work. Okay? Seriously, that's the way it used to work. 5-year plan. And sometimes the guy wouldn't make it past the 4th year because they didn't want to make him a lame duck in the 5th year. That's the way the league used to operate. But since social media came into play, what is that, about 15 years ago? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give or take.
Since social media came into play and the rise and the power now of all the 24-hour sports outlets, whether it's radio or television, what happens is the pressure from the marketing and the business and the fans and the media, it's become so much more intense that these teams over the course of time have now become, because of the pressure, much more impatient. And so what you see now, and it's commonplace in this league now, coaches are lucky sometimes if they can get even to a 3rd year. And the Giants are a prime example of that. And it stinks. I agree with you. From a football perspective, it stinks. It's not conducive to growing a football team and creating and building a winner. It's not. The Giants know that. That's why they don't like to do it. But when it becomes obvious that the guy wasn't the right guy, and then you have all the other factors that are eating away at your franchise like acid, well, then you wind up pulling the plug earlier than you wanted to. And that's just the climate of today's league.
Yeah, and it's quite frankly, it's not even just head coaches. I mean, we see the same thing with young quarterbacks now. Young quarterbacks used to have basically the rookie contract to show that they, belonged and could be a successful NFL quarterback. Now you're given maybe 2 seasons, same as the coaches. And if you haven't shown enough in 2 seasons, you're gone. The team is moving on.
There's just not a lot of patience anymore. And part of that, by the way, if you really want big picture, part of that is because of the salary cap and free agency. And that stuff basically rips your roster to shreds every few years. And that's why what Bill Belichick did with the Patriots, remarkable. What Mike Tomlin's done with the Steelers, remarkable. Even to some degree what Kansas City's done with Andy Reid. If you can keep a quality team together for 5, 6, 7 years, I mean, that's an incredible feat in today's NFL. So I appreciate your sentiments. I just don't know that there's an easy answer that's going to rectify all of this, other than you get a guy in here who wins. That's the easy answer, right? Yeah. You win.
I mean, Dable, went to postseason the first year that he was in.
He did.
So
it was a great year, but then the next 2.5 were pretty bad.
That happened with Dan Reeves, too. Remember, Dan Reeves came to the Giants in '93. The Giants went to the playoffs that first year, and then the next 3 years, they didn't go to the playoffs, and he was done. I mean, but at least he got more than 2 years, okay? Yeah. Again, there was more patience. The climate was different in those days.
Before the electronic toys.
Well, it just, unfortunately, this is part of our society, and it's all over. People don't look. People complain when they have slow internet, for goodness sakes. Nobody has patience for anything anymore.
Well, thank goodness I don't have dial-up anymore.
Believe it or not, I gave up dial-up years ago, too. I know that's hard to believe for some of you. Anyway, B, good to talk to you, and we appreciate the phone call.
Thank you, B.
Call again. 201-939-4513. Tim in Sacramento, California is next on BBKL.
Yo, hey, Paul Dottino and your co-host. Hello.
That's Matt.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Jay.
Hello,
Yeah.
Tim.
Thank you.
What can we do for you today?
I'm going to go get ready to ball up right now in downtown Sacramento. I know in New York you guys have, like, famous Rucker Park, right?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, across the river. Yeah.
In the city.
Yeah, we're actually on the Jersey side of the Hudson River right now. But, yeah, there's the Rucker Park is in New York. Sure.
Wow. Hey, how you doing, amigo? And you want to say something to New York? Hey, hello. Have a good one, man.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, we
neighbor
appreciate
said
it.
to you
Have a
guys,
good one. Have a great 2026. A couple of quick promotional announcements we do have to make. Giants Huddle podcast, of course, up and running as always. John is always getting interviews from Giants people and NFL personnel. Anything going up today?
Yes, I'm not sure if it's up yet. It might have been posted this morning, but John sat down for his weekly player interview, and he sat down with Marcus Bowe.
Yes.
Coming off his first start at left tackle, going into his second one. You know, obviously rookie year, some limited action, but hoping to end the season strong. So that is already up, actually. So there's that, and then I believe it was maybe on Wednesday we posted a Papa's Perspective. Bob Papa had a conversation with Ed McCaffrey.
Easy, Ed McCaffrey.
Yes. So those are the two latest videos. Latest huddle / podcast videos we have up. We have our final in-season Giants hangout as well. Believe that was posted on Wednesday.
Well, you guys done with that? I thought you had one.
We got one more next week, but in
Right.
season.
In season.
In season. We'll have a recap episode next week as well.
And don't forget, folks, Special Olympics New Jersey's annual Snow Bowl is heading to Rutgers SHI Stadium in 2026. This annual flag football tournament will be on the field of Rutgers Stadium from March 6th through the 8th. A 6-on-6 tournament will feature competitive, recreational, and co-ed divisions, and all proceeds benefit thousands of Special Olympics New Jersey athletes across the Garden State. Register your team today at njsnowbowl.org. That's njsnowbowl.org. 201-939-4513.
I just thought we didn't bring this up really from when the assistant coaches spoke
Yeah, sure.
prior to Mike Kafka speaking, but something that I think Giants fans might be interested in hearing is Carm Brasillo spoke to the media, and he did mention, obviously there is a offseason coming up with a lot of questions. We don't really know what's going to happen with the coaching staff, the head coaches. Carm Brasillo did mention that he is under contract for next year. And
2026.
2026.
Yeah.
And he said he did not see, but the beat reporters told him about how a large segment of the fan base has been calling and hoping that he stays no matter who is the head coach next year. And just to note, Brasillo did say that he would love to be back. He's under contract. As long as the Giants want him back, he would love to be here. So obviously that's going to depend on who gets hired as head coach, who he wants to bring. If he wants to bring in his own guy, that remains to be seen. But just figured, given the success of the offensive line this year, and how much, at least I have seen the praise on Giants Twitter for the offensive line and Carm Brasillo. So I just thought, a little nugget that you guys might find a little interesting.
Clearly, in a frustrating and disappointing season such as this one, the offensive line by far is one of the brightest spots.
For sure. I mean, prior to last week, when obviously Andrew Thomas and John Michael Schmitz were put on injured reserve, ending their season a little early, but Pro Football Focus had the Giants offensive line ranked in the top 10 for a good chunk of this season, which I don't know if if you told me that before the season, I don't know if I would have fully believed you, to be honest. I mean, we were hoping for, just middle of the pack. That middle third of the league is where we were hoping. We said, the Giants could play some good offensive football if we just get there. According to at least PFF, which is not the end-all be-all, but top 10 offensive line. So I, for one, would also like to see Carmbrasilla back if everything falls, accordingly.
I suspect that's a pretty unanimous feeling around these parts.
Yeah.
We go back to the phones. Paul in South Carolina is next on the show. Hello.
Good afternoon, fellas.
Hello.
Hey,
Good to talk to you. Happy New Year.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Listen, Paul, just to make us, I've been watching football for the Giants since the 50s.
That's a long time.
10 championship games.
Excellent.
And none of them live, but I used to watch all the time. But anyway, a couple of things. I have a couple of questions. First of all, who takes care of the time clock when the game is going on? Is that one of the officials?
There is an official upstairs in the box who has a little electronic console, and he is working the buttons for the clock. But there's also an official down on the field who also keeps track of the clock as well, and they constantly confer to make sure that they're in sync.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking this is because I'm going to say a yogiism. I think football is 50% physical and 90% mental, and I think the officiating in today's game is they can't keep up with the athleticism of the game plus the visual acuity of the game. They can't follow it. I think it's too fast for them. What do you think?
I think you make a very astute observation. I'd like to see the overall quality of the officiating get better. I'm not sure exactly how we do that because the athletes are bigger, stronger, and faster than they've ever been before. And yes, the game is incredibly difficult to officiate. And on top of that, have you ever actually looked at an NFL rulebook? I mean, if you actually physically had one in your hands, you would get a headache just opening up the first page. Seriously, it's like a Bible. So I get how difficult the job is. I don't know what the best way is to get the officiating to be better, but I've always advocated what the CFL does, and they've done for years with an eye in the sky, and they give you that extra ability to kind of legislate some of this stuff. But that's just me.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble by going into the officiating this season. So all I will say is, similar to the Giants' performance this season, I think there has been some room for improvement from the officiating across the NFL.
You're such a nice man.
Okay, so.
Paul, what else do you have for us today?
Eye in the sky. I agree with you on the eye in the sky.
Okay, and what was number two? Point number two.
Well, the other thing that I wanted to mention, what drives me crazy is when the clock is running out. That 40-second clock, and it's running out, and it gets down to 00, and it goes 1, 2, and they still don't blow the whistle. What is the possibility of putting a buzzer in the official's ears that when it hits 0, it goes off?
I don't know that they could hear that. In some stadiums, when it gets really, really loud, are you sure they could hear it?
I don't. A lot of them probably wouldn't be able to.
They listen to people talking to them upstairs. Why can't a buzzer go off in their headset?
Isn't that? I don't know if it's like written down in the rule book, but at least the unwritten rule is that the official looks at the zeros on the clock
and they get a beat,
and then looks back at the field, and if the snap still hasn't happened at that point, then they blow the whistle for delay game. But if in that split half second where the ref is going from the clock to the field, the snap occurs, then they let it play. I mean, I don't know if that's in the rule book written down like that. That might be like an unwritten thing.
It's kind of assumed as an unwritten grace period. You get one beat when the play clock hits 0. You get that one beat. It's not a second; it's a beat. It's like what you say. It's a look in.
Yeah.
Look in back to the field to play. I mean, I understand your point though, because you're thinking to yourself, technology is so great. Why can't we get everything right down to crossing every T and dotting every I and get it as precise as possible? I appreciate the thought. I don't know that of all the different things that I think could be changed in the rule book, that would be at the top of my list.
Okay, I got two more quick things.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Jackson Dart plays a lot like Fran Tarkington did when he was playing with the Giants. Well, when he played his career, but
can I give you another? I wouldn't say much Francis, but I think he plays a lot like a young Phil Simms.
No, I don't think so.
I'll tell you why.
He doesn't. He's very elusive.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
so
I
was
think of
Phil.
Fran Tarkington.
Paul, if you remember when Phil was a rookie, and he'll tell you this, he used to run around a lot more until he started getting hurt, and then the running around kind of stopped. But Phil was a much more mobile quarterback and a runner when he was a rookie. He had to, because the line was so bad. If he didn't run for his life, he would have gotten killed.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
But he does. But he does have the same mentality. Because Jackson Dart is a football player. He's not a quarterback. He's a football player. He's got that mentality just like Phil used to have. Go ahead.
No, I just said he's elusive. I mean, I like the way Dart plays. You know, you can't teach smart, and he is very smart.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a very heady ball player, and I think he's going to do nothing but grow. Listen, I got two quick names for you from Blast from the Past, and to see if you remember them. One is Hartwell Menifee.
I do not.
And the other one is John Contoulis.
I do not remember him either.
And if he doesn't remember him, there's no way I do.
What is the context of those two names?
Was a defensive tackle from Connecticut, played for the Giants.
Okay.
And Hartwell Menifee, I don't remember where he came from, but I think he was something like a third-round choice, and he was a receiver. Played 3 years with the Giants. I just threw those two names out just to see if you, because you seem like the historian of the Giants.
You stumped me. You stumped me. You stumped me like they used to have on ESPN, Stump the Schwab.
Yeah,
you just stumped me with those two.
They have it the NFL draft, the stump the truck or whatever, stump the van.
Yes, stump the truck.
Well,
that's right.
Yeah,
Paul,
anyway,
thank you.
I to be honest with you, I hope the Giants win this Sunday. But in a way, I hope they don't win, because I think having the second choice is better than the first, because there's no question Las Vegas is going to take Mendoza. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Paul, please call us again.
Thank you, Paul.
Take care. Alex in Syracuse, you're next on the program. Hello.
Hey, guys. Happy New Year. How you doing?
You too.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, I agree with that last caller on almost everything. Just wanted to say, yeah, you see a lot of that narrative about wanting to lose and the whole tanking thing, and I've never been on board with it. Regardless of who we're playing this week, I would want us to win, but especially because it's Dallas. I mean, what are we even – anyone? If you're a Giants fan out there and you're okay with losing to Dallas for some sort of draft capital, I'm with you, man. I understand the sort of analytical lot, but it's Dallas. What are we even talking about? I might have to revoke your Giants fan card if you are willing to lose to Dallas. And if you've been watching any of the post-game stuff, any of the Hard Knock stuff, if you saw the clips of that team after they won last week, even in a quote-unquote meaningless game, I mean, how do you not – I don't know. I just think even though the team's going to be different next year, and I know we don't always believe momentum goes from year to year, I think there's a lot of young guys on this team that are going to be here next year, and I do think that, that feeling of winning will stick with them, and also that feeling of losing that they aren't going to want. So I think all of that's going to be good for them in the offseason. So I think it's really important that we beat Dallas this week.
Alex, it's interesting that you bring up the whole Dallas element here. Now, I firmly believe you should want your team to win every week anyway, no matter who they're playing. But when you bring up the Dallas element, back in the old, when the Yankees were playing, the Giants were playing at Yankee Stadium, and then the Yale Bowl, and then even at Shea in 75, and then when Giant Stadium opened up in 76. If you remember those years at all, and if you don't, ask people who do, and they will tell you that beating the Cowboys, it was great to compete with them. If you played them tough, that was like a badge of honor. But to beat the Cowboys in any of those years was almost like winning a playoff game. It was that exciting. It was that intense. It was that important to beat the arch rival Dallas Cowboys. So any Giants fan who's been around at least for a few decades, you understand that star, like Brandon Jacobs used to say, and Brandon was like a Brahma bull with steam coming out of his nostrils whenever he saw that helmet. I mean, boy, did he despise that helmet. So there is definitely a very deep-seated feeling of loyal, longtime Giant fans to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, look, again, as I said before, I can understand why there are some fans rooting for a loss for a draft for the draft slot. I get it. No one in this building has that mindset, but I fully understand some fans thinking that way. But Alex, to your point about the Cowboys, the Giants have not beaten the Cowboys in 5 years.
It's 9 straight games.
5 years since the last time the Giants beat the Cowboys, and they beat them once since 2016. Since the 2016 season, they have beaten them once. It's not even a rivalry at that point. It's just complete domination from one side to the other.
Yeah.
So this game might be meaningless, but how could you ever say you don't want to beat the Cowboys?
And I'll finish, and I'll let you go, and then I'll let you finish up. Do you remember when Jerry Jones opened AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World, and the Giants were the first team down there, and they won, and then Eli signed his autograph in the locker room? That gives you an indication about how sweet it is to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, and I'll add this too, because those are great stats, Matt, and that's a large part of the reason I want to beat them. Also, last night I was trying to remember. I went back. It was a little torturous, but I went back and I looked at the all-time records between the Giants and all of the teams in our division. We're leading Washington by a good amount overall. We're down 7 games to Philly all time. The Dallas record, don't quote me. These numbers might not be exactly correct, but it's something like 78-47. So we got a lot of catching up to do, and so I'm never willing to lose a game to the Dallas Cowboys. Are you kidding me? So
Alex, just remember the Cowboys haven't been to an NFC Championship game in 30 years. Okay? Just remember that.
Right.
And in that time, the Giants have done a few really cool things with something called the Lombardi Trophy. Just remember that.
That is true.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you for the call, Alex.
Lou in Texas, you're last on the program.
How's it going today, guys?
Hi.
Good.
How are you,
Lou?
So, any chance you see the Giants pulling a Patriots of this year based on some of the pieces we have in place, like Dart, Neighbors, Scattaboo, Burns? Do you see that potentially happening, that we could have a massive turnaround for 2026?
Look, that's obviously the hope. I mean, between the Patriots, who is it, the Bears, and I want to say the Jaguars, all three of them had pretty abysmal seasons last year. And
Washington the year before.
And are 3 of the best teams in the NFL this year. So obviously that is the hope. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and say that I have the utmost confidence that a team that's 3-13 going into this season finale is all of a sudden going to win double-digit games next year. I think there are steps you take, one season at a time. I like to think more of what we saw the Detroit Lions do. Go from literally the worst team in NFL history to they had the next year where they were around 500. They had that winning streak at the very end of the year that got them just over 500 or to 500. And then that next year is when they really became the dominant Lions that we at least saw the last couple of years. Obviously not this season, but that's sort of, in my mind, I think a slightly more of a, realistic timeline. Obviously we're talking in a positive way. It's not for certain, obviously, that even next year the Giants, make that jump to around 500. But that is where I would tend on a more realistic, spectrum.
Okay.
Where I would go. Obviously, ideally, would love for us to win 10 games next year.
Yeah, I got one last quick thing, guys. My son is 29. He was born in 1996. He is the curse of why the Cowboys have not made the NFC Championship game. Go Giants. Go Big Blue.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you, Lou.
In terms of overturning coaches and how much of an impact that can make, yes, in the last decade, the Giants have overturned a whole handful of coaches, and it didn't work out great other than the 2022 season with Abel in his first year making the playoffs. In 2016. Oh, McAdoo.
McAdoo's first year.
Yes, very good, John. 2016 Mac. But go back. And Dan Reeves, 93, first season, made the playoffs. Jim Fossil, 97, first season, made the playoffs. I mean, I'm not telling you that there's an automatic that that's going to work. But if you do pick the right guy, you got probably a better than 50-50 chance of having a significantly improved team at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, look, I definitely agree. I mean, you look back to going into this season, the Patriots and the Bears were two of the most popular picks as like the turnaround team of 2025 because they had the young quarterback. They just hired the new coach who everyone at the time thought they got their guy. Like this was the right hire for that team. And they had a good young core of players. So depending on who the Giants hire to lead this team next year, like, yeah, it's certainly possible. I'm sure the Giants will be a popular pick as one of those big turnaround teams going into next year if they bring in the right guy. For sure, because as you know, Lou mentioned, there are young pieces on this team that you can 100% build around. There are young players on this team that 31 other teams across the NFL would love to have on their roster.
Yep.
So, yeah, I do think, obviously, again, it all depends on who is leading this team next year. Obviously, we hope it's the right call. We won't really know for a few more years after, but it would not shock me at all if the Giants do have a big turnaround. It's not certain by any means, but it would not surprise me given all of the young talent, quite frankly, on both sides of the ball. I think with the right coaching, a lot of these young guys could potentially take big steps next year and beyond.
All right, folks, Sunday's finale against the Dallas Cowboys here at MetLife Stadium. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. So don't forget, WFAN's radio pregame show starts at 11. Then after the game, you've got the 2-hour postgame show on radio as well. Also on MSG, 1 hour immediately following the game. You get a 1-hour postgame on MSG. And so Giants coverage is all around here on Sunday as we wrap up 2025 in 2026, actually. Isn't that funny? It's funny. Kafka said the other day, we're starting 2026. Well, you know, as someone in the production studio said to me, if we win Sunday, we're 1-0 in 2026. That's kind of a nice way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah, and if that happens, hopefully that is a good sign to come for the rest of the year.
Exactly. Folks, again, we wish you a healthy and happy New Year week. And if you come out to the game, enjoy yourselves. And this has been another edition of the Big Blue Kickoff Live Show presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Giants. And as always, we come to you from the Giants Podcast Studio presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. For Matt Citak, I'm Paul Dottino. We'll see you next time.